Ladies and gentlemen from all around the world, coming to you from the Spit Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, this is the Spit Sports Show. I know I say this before pretty much every episode, but I am so excited to talk to you guys today about my favorite football team. And I want to preface everything I say today by this. I didn't choose to be a Lions fan. I was born into it. My dad would make me watch the games every Sunday, and even though we lost every one for some reason, those Honolulu blue jerseys and that Matthew Stafford just got me by the heart. And ever since then, I've been a diehard Lions fan. However, that has nothing to do with what I'm going to say today, which is the Detroit Lions are the most underrated team in the league right now and should be the favorites. Maybe not the favorites, but a favorite in the NFC to make it to the Super Bowl. So the NFC is fascinating because at the top you have maybe the two best rosters in the league. The Eagles and the 49ers basically have no flaws across their whole roster. Unbelievable defense, top tier running games, great coaching. Most people look at those two teams as the overwhelming favorites in the conference. And that was the championship game last year, and most of their rosters are coming back, so there shouldn't be any reason why those two teams won't be seeing each other again come January, right? But both of those teams have issues that I don't feel enough folks are talking about right now, starting with the Eagles. On its face, both their offensive and defensive coordinator are gone. I don't think their DC was very good, but Shane Steichen, their offensive coordinator, is looked at around the league as an emerging young offensive genius, and he and Jalen Hurts had a great relationship, according to Jalen himself. So losing him is not a little thing for this team. Sticking with coaching, I am not the biggest Nick Sirianni fan, their head coach. I think he's got some diva coach in him, a lot of look at me, a lot of things you don't see in the Andy Reids and the Bill Belichicks and the other coaches who have sustained success for a long period of time. The Super Bowl hangover is also a real thing for everyone except for Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, the two best quarterbacks in the world. Now, I think Jalen is a top 5 quarterback in the world, but the gap between him and those top 2 guys is the same as the gap between him and the 7th best quarterback or the 8th best quarterback in the league, in my mind. They're also not going to be playing against the single easiest quarterback schedule in NFL history this year. And they've got some pretty tough games early and often, so I'm expecting them to take a step back. Speaking of quarterbacks, on to those Niners, who have been somewhat quarterback-proof over the last couple years. It seems like no matter who's starting, whether it's a guy who's literally nicknamed Mr. Irrelevant, Jimmy Garoppolo, or Nick Mullins, the 49ers will be in the NFC Championship game. But don't you just feel like that can only last for so long? By all accounts, Trey Lance is a bust. They spent 3 first-round picks on him, and he's currently 3rd on the depth chart behind previously mentioned Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold, who, as much as Kyle Shanahan wants me to believe he's Steve Young, he is much closer to Steve Harvey in terms of his throwing ability. Now, Purdy seems like he could be a decent starter, but his arm talent was already pretty limited, and he's now coming off major elbow surgery to his throwing arm. There's also tape out on him now, and defenses are going to have a lot more time to figure him out. Their 2 best offensive players, McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel, are also 2 of the biggest injury risks in the entire league. So let's say, in all likelihood, those 2 teams fall back a bit, just a bit. Who is left in the NFC? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the year of the Detroit Lions. Came within one lucky Seahawks win of making the playoffs last year after starting 1-7, which would have been the greatest turnaround in NFL history. The Lions might have the most momentum going into this offseason of any team. Quarterback is the most important, so let's start there. Jared Goff, when he is protected, is a top 5 passer in the NFL. From week 8 on, he was top 5 in passer rating, yards, and touchdowns, and his young O-line is coming back fully intact with another year of experience under their belt. They were a top 5 O-line last year. They will easily be a top 5 O-line this year. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, I'm saying this, Jared Goff isn't a Super Bowl quarterback, which I can kind of understand. I mean, he doesn't do anything jaw-dropping. He's just kind of an average Joe type of guy. There's no real... he's been to a Super Bowl before. No, it could really, he's not a Super Bowl quarterback. It can't be. Wait, how did he get to that Super Bowl? Oh, I remember with a top 5 O-line in football, a fantastic running game, and one of the best offensive minds in the league in Sean McVay. So we have a template already of how Jared Goff can be really, really good. So let's see what the Lions have right now. So I've already mentioned how good their offensive line is, so that's check on step 1. The Lions just signed a 1,000-yard rusher from last season and picked up the second best running back prospect in the draft, Jahmyr Gibbs out of Alabama, who is already cooking New York Giants in practice. Behind that O-line is going to be a very good running game. So that's a check on step number 2. And I don't know how much you guys keep track of coaching hires in the offseason, but Ben Johnson, the Lions OC, got 3 different offers to be a head coach and instead decided to stay with the Lions because in his words, they are, and quote, building something really special. If you watch the Lions at all last year, which God knows I did, they had one of the most creative and boundary-pushing offenses in football. Do you remember that hook and ladder play where a running back pitched it back to a wide receiver on 3rd down? Or how about when their right tackle made the catch that sealed the game against the Vikings in a division game? The Lions offense is something to be concerned about if you're an NFL defense. They were a top 5 scoring unit last year, even with their 1-7 start. And speaking of defenses, their defense has been completely rebuilt. Their pass rush is already looking good enough, with Hutchinson looking like a star already in his rookie year. And their linebackers are average, but that's all you need in today's NFL. Just ask the Chicago Bears. You don't want to pay linebackers. Their issue on defense last year was their secondary, which they attacked this offseason, signing CJ Gardner-Johnson, Cam Sutton, and Emmanuel Mosley. Every one of those players is better than both of their top corners from last year. And I haven't even gotten to their passing weapons yet. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a flat-out stud who played like a top 5 receiver last year, according to Pro Football Focus and me. Jameson Williams is coming back after suspension as one of the fastest and most talented pass catchers in the world, who will stretch the defense while St. Brown slices them up with his intermediate routes. Add on to that the rookie tight end Sam Laporta, who has reportedly been lighting up training camp and is a flat-out dog, according to many Lions reporters. Not my quote, that's theirs. And you've got an offense that is bound to be one of, if not the best in the league. In a weak NFC that is objectively wide open this year, I am picking the Lions to make the Super Bowl and maybe even win it. People are sleeping on this team, I'm telling you guys, but I am wide awake, and I can see what they're building in the 3-1-3. I think it's going to be special, and this is the most excited I have been for a Detroit Lions season all year. As always, let me know what you guys think. Am I crazy? Am I right on the money? What do you guys think the Lions are going to do this season? As always, thank you guys so much for watching. The Spit Show comes out 3 times a week. Thank you all so much.